In 1979, 10 years of age, where Brancheau visited SeaWorld in Orlando with her mom, she saw her most memorable shamu show in the setting. This is where everything started the second, when she saw the Goliath executioner whale. Bouncing external the water, she pursued her vocation decision. Until the end of her life, First Light was persuaded early on that this was where she needed to fill in as an animal coach. However, at that point she had no clue about what was available for her in the future. "This is everything that I believe should do," she said to her mom as she strolled down the path of the Shamu Arena, where Brancheau told this in a meeting with the Orlando press, with the vision of turning into an animal mentor, where went to the College of South Carolina to seek after brain science and animal conduct. After graduation, she endured 2 years working with dolphins at another Jersey fascination, prior to getting her position at SeaWorld, where Brancheau is without a doubt an animal sweetheart. She loved her 2 Labrador retrievers and chipped in at an animal cover in her extra time. She likewise raised a few wanderer ducks, chickens, hares, and little birds at her home. Right off the bat in her vocation, she worked with otters and ocean lions at Six Banners Entertainment Meccas in 1994, then got moved to SeaWorld to work with orcas in 1996. That very year, she wedded Scott Brancheau, a stagger skier at SeaWorld in 200, where showed up in a TV interview to discuss the significance of remaining in great shape to work with those submerged monsters. She did weightlifting, running, and it was a 2-cycle wellness way of life for where she needed to remain very fit. To do what she wore was completely mindful of the dangers of her work and, surprisingly, discussed them. She found that orcas only every once in a long while assault people in the wild, and that the possibilities of this event in bondage were extremely low. Strangely, orcas' communications with jumpers and anglers show that they are exceptionally friendly, shrewd, and inquisitive animals. Around her experience with the orca, she met Tilikum, the name that really implied companion in Chinook, yet his set of experiences unobtrusively deceived that, as a general rule, he was not. Tilikum, otherwise called Blackfish, was first trapped in Iceland in 1983. Tilikum, the executioner whale, was just 2 years of age when he was isolated from his group of the shoreline of Iceland and taken to a substantial tank in the ANAF Marine Zoo, close Reykjavik, for very nearly a year. He could swim around and around or lie still on the outer layer of the water while sitting tight for his vehicle to Canada. In 1984, Tilikum was moved to its new home, Sealand of the Pacific, which was in rough shape. Situated on Vancouver Island in English Columbia, he was put with 2 more seasoned female orcas named Heidi 2 and Nutka 4, who sought strength, as in the crazy females hold the most noteworthy position in the social order, a mentor working in Sealand in the last part of the 1980s, uncovered that Tilikum was in many cases the objective of assaults by the 2 female orcas, who frequently arose the following day with noticeable wounds. The intense pressure prompted Tilikum creating stomach ulcers and being segregated in a clinical pool to safeguard him from the rough tackles. To resolve the issue, Sealand looked for guidance from Bruce Stevens, a previous SeaWorld head mentor, who gave coaches a handbook cautioning them that neglecting to satisfactorily animate their creatures would prompt the creatures making their own fervor. In any case, research Eric noticed that there was little improvement. The creature's knowledge and necessities were not adequately considered. As Bruce had cautioned, the orcas started to play with new items in their tank and would not give up, them turning out to be progressively forceful. In May 1989, Eric surrendered and revealed the aquarium well-being issues to the Canadian League of Empathetic Social Orders, including his dismal hunch that somebody would be significantly harmed. He had a startling last admonition: "I feel that eventually somebody will be truly harmed." On February 20th, 1991, after an exhibition, a disastrous episode happened when a College of Victoria Sea Life Science understudy and part-time mentor named Celtic Consume, matured 20, slipped and coincidentally fell into the orca pool Tilikum and the two female orcas. Then, at that point, went after and killed her. Simply a 20-year-old understudy working part-time with orcas to make additional pay. Unfortunately, Kelty fell into the pool, unintentionally, and got pursued by Tilikum, and the two different laborers. A representative is dead after an experience at a Canadian park called Sealand of the Pacific. The casualty Kelty Consume was a title swimmer and a seasonal specialist at Sealand. Not long after the horrible episode, Sealand shut its entryways, and the orcas were offered to SeaWorld in 1992. The creature were essential for the recreation area's orca display, with practically zero consideration paid to its forceful notoriety. He was the biggest orca in imprisonment. In 1999, Tilikum was associated with one more odd lethal mishap, in which a vagrant died regardless of his set of experiences. Tilikum was still in plain view at SeaWorld, and he raked in tons of cash for the organization Tilikum and First Light had prepared together for the majority years. The people who worked with her said that their bond serious areas of strength, for depended on affection and trust. Yet on 24 February 2010, upon the arrival of the Shamu show, a horrible misfortune happened on this day. Tilikum and Sunrise performed at the Feasting with Shamu show at SeaWorld, where visitors partook in an open-air supper with a live orca show. The 40-year-old mentor was quiet with the orca and had quite recently stroked his nose. However, what occurred next left the general population and the world in shock. First Light lay with her face close to Tilikum's, the orca, with whom she had spent endless hours and who had consistently dealt with her like a confided-in sidekick. Yet when Sunrise turned, Tilikum grasped her coach, and long-lasting companion observers guaranteed that Tilikum got her braid and afterward pulled her into the water, and after which he then, at that point, began swinging her submerged in his mouth. As per different observers anyway, she was hauled into the pool by her arm or shoulder. The mentor was rapidly and savagely maneuvered into the pool, after which she suffocated. The assault was drawn out and unimaginably brutal. What application hap? We had a female coach. You back in the whale-holding region. She clearly slipped or fell into the tank and was fly-harmed by one of the whales, as per an examination that was made public. Tilikum whipped its mentor around its pool, breaking her jaw, breaking a piece of her spine, separating one of her elbows, and in any event, disjoining a knee. Where Brancheau suffocated in the wake of being maneuvered into SeaWorld's pool on February 24, around 2 p.m. Furthermore, died because of gruff power in wounds to the head, neck and chest. As per the post-mortem, she was gone after by the orcas with such power that, as per the examination, a piece of her scalp was effectively pulled from the skull. Dial's vicious movements cracked Ware's lower jaw, part of her vertebrae, and a few ribs. Her left arm was likewise torn from its attachment, and First Light was scalped with her hair and skin found at the lower part of the pool. The examination was delivered while SeaWorld and Ware's family were anticipating a court-in on their solicitation to keep a video of the lethal assault private, despite the fact that different coaches attempted to redirect him with nets and nourishment for 45 minutes. He kept on sitting on the bowl deck with Ware's broken body. In the end, they figured out how to get him into a more modest clinical pool where he was simpler to quiet. Furthermore, he at long last delivered the body of the mentor who had invested such a lot of energy with him. Where Brancheau was only 40 years of age. When she died, she was let go in the sacred Sealer graveyard, which is found only right beyond Chicago, Illinois. Concerning Ware's family, they would prefer to recall her for how she lived than how she passed. Her family laid out an anonymous association in her distinction in 2016. Its motivation, as per them, is focused on working on the existences of youngsters and animals in need, propelling others to seek after their goals and advancing the worth of local area administration. Tilikum needed to burn through the vast majority of his days after this brutal assault in a pool that was seldom seen by the public. Reports have arisen that he would go through hours simply lying on the outer layer of the water, and until the present time, nobody knows why Tilikum pursued that decision to go after Sunrise, snatch and maneuver her into the bowl. After First Light's lethal mishap, the Orca stayed at SeaWorld, where he died from a lung contamination in 2017. SeaWorld didn't get a sense of ownership with Daybreak's demise in August 2010, when they were sentenced by OSHA for 3 security infringement. They were just fined $75,000.